All right, we're live. All right, guys, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. This is an early stream. I'm sure people are probably asleep on the West Coast. I don't know what time is in the West Coast. It's like 6:30. I guess it's earlier than I thought. Oh well. I mean, come on, y'all. Come on. Let's be real here. I was debating what am I going to title this because I know that they're probably going to shadow ban it because they don't want anybody talking about the election. The news has already said we're the ones that are supposed to decide the outcome of the election. We're supposed to narrate it for you. So obviously, it's a concerted effort by big tech, big media, and the establishment to try to control the outcome of this election. Anybody with a set of eyes in their head can see what's happening. Let's be real here, guys. You saw the same thing I saw last night. You were watching it. I was watching it. I watched it till about 2 a.m. and then I just got fed up. I'm like, okay, we're not gonna hear anything else tonight because we reached a point where they just hit the pause button. Am I right here? I'm gonna read y'all's comments as I go through this too, because I know that I'm pretty much preaching to the choir because we saw this happen. And I just got off the phone with my mom telling her about it. She can see it now too. I had to explain some things, but she gets it now. How this is election rigging and altering in plain sight, in front of your eyes, in front of your face. You can see it. They hit the pause button. I'm gonna stay on track here because I got notes. Okay, so let's start with what they've been doing or what they did as far as setting a precedent, right? Didn't they already pretty much set the stage for this exact thing to play out? They said, be wary of a red mirage. It's going to look like a Trump landslide on election night, but be wary that Biden might be the winner in a couple of days. And I'm thinking to myself, when they said it at the time, I'm like, so how do you know that all of the votes that come in by mail are going to automatically be for Biden? You can't just assume that because the mail-in ballots would stack up in densely populated areas that automatically means that 90% or more of them are going to Biden. There's no guarantee. I mean, obviously we saw the results of that in Miami alone, as far as urban areas, as far as Detroit, Wayne County. We'll get into that, but they already set the stage for basically neither side to accept the outcome. They boarded up buildings, they boarded up businesses in DC. I just say, like, man, they set the stage right now for civil conflict, civil unrest. That's exactly what they want because it gives them ratings. And I understand. I'm just going to give you the disclaimer right now. I understand that this is going to sound very conspiratorial because I can't pull up charts and say, hey, look, here's some numbers, here's some data, here's some stats, because you can lie with statistics, by the way, but it's just going to sound like it's speculation, basically, not really conspiracy, because you guys see what I see. Anybody, even if you hate Trump with every fiber in your being, you know that this election is being rigged right now. You can see it. You're probably happy about it. You're like, well, I want Trump gone. I don't care if it means we live in a banana republic. I don't care. I just want Trump gone. Orange man bad. But you still see that the fix is in. The fix is in. Okay, so let's just go down the notes. Let's go down the list. And I'm a woo-saw here. I'm going to keep calm because remember what I said yesterday? You can throw all that out the window. Yesterday, I was like, I'm calm, cool, collected, guys. I'm just going to go into the night. That was true. That was true at the time. But then the night happened, right? The night happened and things got weird, as I said that they would get weird. And this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? We already know what is going to ultimately happen. We know it should happen, but we know it's ultimately going to happen. And maybe that changes through the course of this live stream because it's still a living thing. It's ongoing, right? So things are probably changing as we speak. I'm getting updates from this little group chat I'm in with RSBN, and it looks like Georgia is about 99% counted, and Joe Biden's still down by 100,000. I mean, come on, let's be real. Georgia is a red state. It was never truly a swing state. It was a hotly contested state. It was starting to turn a little bit purple, but it was not a swing state. It's not like, oh, it could go for either candidate. No, it hasn't gone for a Republican or a Democrat since like the 90s. So same with Arizona. I covered this yesterday too. I said that there are actual swing states, meaning they swing back and forth. Like Iowa is a true swing state. Florida is a true swing state. Obama won it, Bush won it, Clinton won it, Trump won it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it swings both directions. But a state like Georgia, a state like Arizona, Those are states that Democrats are trying to flip. So they're battleground states. Republicans have to hold the line. So it should not be a shocker that Trump wins Georgia. Same with North Carolina. We'll get to Arizona. But this red mirage thing was, they set the stage. They're like, hey, just so you know, get ready. They told you the plan. They told you the plan months ago. Okay, now let's talk about the inconsistency with the media reporting. Remember also what I said yesterday. We got to pay attention to the media. Like we say we don't trust the media, right? But we all had media on our TVs, on our phones, because it's like, where are you going to get the information from? Where do you go? I found myself bouncing back and forth between Fox News, Newsmax. I was watching Anthony Brian Logan. I was watching a bunch of different people, Sticks, Hex, and Hammer. I wanted to get as many perspectives as I could, but I also wanted the graphics. I wanted to be able to see them like they have done in every other election. Even when I was a kid, I used to watch the election just because I thought it was cool. They're zooming in on the maps and they give you a hyper zoomed in look at, like, look at this county in Kentucky. This one should flip blue, and it went this much for this person in 2016. You guys know the drill. This is how they've done every single election. But they weren't really doing that last night. They started doing it, but then they just stopped and they just zoomed out and they just had like panelists, like 5 people on a screen talking. I'm like, well, this is boring. I want to know if Trump is winning, and they haven't called the state. Okay, which counties are they still looking at? Because if it's a dim area, then it makes sense. Like if it's a big city, okay, I understand. Maybe they're waiting for those ballots. I don't want to suppress anybody's vote. Let's look at all the counties. Can we zoom in on that county and see, like, okay, the precinct's closed. They got this percentage of the vote. It looks like it's going to go one way or the other. So nobody was consistent, and Fox News was among the worst as far as reporting goes. And I'm going to get into that. Fox News was worse than CNN, worse than MSNBC, worse than ABC News, worse than pretty much all of them as far as jumping the gun, calling all these states. And Trump's speech last night, did he not say what 90% of us think? He said exactly what we were already thinking. See, this is some BS, guys. You guys know it. You know it like you know how to spell your name, that this is some BS. And it's happening right in front of your very eyes. Okay, so the MSN was very inconsistent. It was very confusing, and it was frustrating trying to find, like, I just want something that's going to show me the numbers. I don't care about opinions. I just care about the numbers. Let me see the counties. Let me see all these things, right? Okay, so let's start with Florida. Florida. President Trump had almost a 400,000 vote lead, with like 90% reporting. 90% reporting. And they said it's too close to call. Mind you, they had already counted Miami-Dade, Palm Beach, Broward, Tampa, Pinellas County. They counted Jacksonville, Orlando, Orange County, all of the cities where Joe Biden would get a substantial amount of vote. They already counted those. That was already included in the 88, 90% reporting. I don't remember what it was. So the remaining 10 to 12% that needed to be reported was in the panhandle, dark red. But they said Florida is too close to call. So that was the first red flag of the night. No pun intended. That was the first red flag of the night. Florida not being called. And this is Fox News, by the way. What is up with that? I think that, and then I also listened to Tucker Carlson talking about this too. He said, okay, if you look at Miami-Dade, and some other analysts, people who are interested in telling the truth and, really taking a deep dive, they looked at the 2016 numbers for Miami. They said Hillary Clinton won like 60% of the vote in Miami-Dade County, or 67% or something like that of the Latino vote. President Trump outperformed Hillary. He got more votes in Miami-Dade than Hillary did in 2016. So he outperformed her in a deep blue area amongst Hispanics and blacks. So that looked like a precedent for everything else, or that looked like that was set in the stage, like it was going to be a trend, at least amongst Latinos. Not that they're a monolith, but President Trump said rightly, like, we'll never be a socialist country. That obviously is going to appeal to most people in Miami, right? So that's besides the point. President Trump won Florida handedly. Everybody could see it. Everybody knew it. So were you not asking the question like, why is Fox News not calling Florida again? What's going on? What's going on with that? Then go up to Virginia. They call Virginia early with 12% reporting, with President Trump leading like 70% to 10% or something crazy like that. Granted, it's only 12% reporting. They called it for Biden and they did it right away. Then they retracted like, oh no, let's wait. Then they called it again. So I'm like, what's going on here? So it's taken you forever to call the states that Trump clearly won and won big. He won big, 400,000 votes in Florida. That's a substantial amount. But you call Virginia early right away. You call California right away. Soon as the polls close in California. Oh, Joe Biden carries California. We know that's a blue area, but how could you call it so soon? You're not even going to show us like a small percentage of the votes. You're not going to show us how many votes Trump got until way later. They flip-flopped with Maine. They did it with New Hampshire. It was weird. It was very weird. And I've never seen anything like that where they refuse to call states when it's clearly that the person's going to win it. They did it with some, don't get me wrong. They did it with some, like the really obvious ones that were not contested, like Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, Illinois, like those states. They're like, okay, Biden's going to win it. Trump's going to win it. That's how elections of the past have gone. But I find it really, really interesting that of all the swing states, Florida's the only one that's been called, except for Arizona, which I'm going to get to that in a second. That's its own thing. Florida is the only one that was called. Florida is the only one of the swing states that has a Republican governor, which means that they didn't even try to attempt to steal the election. Ron DeSantis wasn't going to try to do that. Now, if Andrew Gillum were the governor, Florida would not have been called. He'd have been like, well, we still have these votes we got to count in Miami-Dade, meaning we got a truckload out back. We just need to see how many we need. And he probably would have like weakened our entire election process, probably made it similar to Pennsylvania. You don't need an ID. Your signature doesn't have to match. Come on, man. A 5-year-old knows like, dang, I could take advantage of this. And I said this months ago. If you could lie and cheat to get Trump out of office and get away with it, what would stop you? What would stop you that while the left and the media are saying voter fraud is a myth, it's a right-wing conspiracy theory? Okay, would you ever send cash through the mail? The answer is no, because you can't trust the mailing system 100%. Same goes with your vote. Your vote is as good as money. It's more valuable than money at this point, at least. So if you wouldn't send cash through the mail, why would you trust sending your ballot through the mail? Knowing that people, they said, oh, it's never happened in the past. Yeah, we never had Trump in the past. We never had an unhinged Trump derangement syndrome sector of the population in the past. They're willing to do everything, including run his supporters off the road, kill his supporters. So I'd like to think that they would rig an election in their favors to get him out of office. If they would kill Trump supporters, if they would threaten his life and threaten his son's life, Barron Trump, what makes you think that they'll stop short of rigging an election? They would never do that. There's no fraud. It's a right-wing conspiracy theory. It's GOP misinformation. I'm seeing all that garbage out there. Well, you're seeing it in real time right here. But if Andrew Gillum were the governor of the state of Florida, you mean to tell me we wouldn't have an extreme COVID shutdown, mandatory mail-in ballots, and ballot harvesting so that Trump would lose? Mind you, he wouldn't have been able to hold any rallies here, so he probably would have been down in the polls and everything else. So, yeah, we have a Republican governor, and he was calling for it. He's like, Trump is up. Why haven't you called Florida yet? What's going on here? But all the other states, Democrat governors, North Carolina, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, that we still don't know. I'm a little shocked that Georgia took so long. I mean, you got Brian Kemp there. And it's still, I don't know. As of this stream right now, maybe some of you, one of you know, I don't know, put it in the chat. Maybe I'll look at it. Has Georgia been decided? I guess we can pull it up on the screen here too, but I got to get this little rant out first and then we'll do that. Okay. So that was really weird. So they didn't call Florida. They called Virginia early. They called Arizona way too early, way too early. Then, hold on. Yeah, they refused to call Florida, Ohio, and Texas. It wasn't just Florida. It was Ohio and Texas. Why did it take so long to call Texas? Trump was up like 700,000 votes. And this is why we needed an election map analysis where someone could say, here's the reason why they should call the state of Texas. This is where Fox News dropped the ball. Fox News, sorry. Nope. Not a good look. Not a good look. You needed to have somebody who cares about the truth. Never mind if they support Trump or Biden. We just needed facts. We needed somebody to pull up the map and say, look at these counties. These counties are massively Republican, and they haven't even counted all their votes yet. And Trump already has a lead. So even if they're still counting in Dallas or whatever, this state is going to go to Trump. Let's call it now. Because here's the thing. And I explained this to my mom too, because she's asked like, well, what does it matter if they didn't? She was just curious. What does it matter if they call the state early or later? And I said, well, let's say you live in a swing state where your vote matters a whole lot more than it would if you were in a blue or red state. If you live in a swing state, let's say you work late, you made it to the ballot, you made it to the election place, polling place, whatever, just in the nick of time to get in line. However, the lines are super long and you're tired and you got to work the next day. You got to pick up your kids. You got to get groceries, whatever it is going on in your personal life. You're standing in line because your vote matters and you want to vote. You want to cast your ballot. But while you're waiting in line, obviously, you're going to be checking like, oh, what's going on in other states? What's going on? Then you see on Fox News, let's say you're watching it on your phone, you see Fox News call Arizona is going to go to Joe Biden. That is voter suppression right there in real time. Because if you're standing in a long line and they've already called that state for the opponent, the person you're not going to vote for, I mean, yeah, you might still want to wait in line and you should still wait in line. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you will wait in line, especially if you're like, well, dang, I guess it doesn't matter now because my vote's not going to count. Knowing that there's still 50+% of the vote that hasn't been counted. And you don't know where that vote's coming from. You don't know if it's coming from a deep blue county, like an inner city part, or a rural part, which tends to be more red. You don't know. You don't have the facts because nobody's there actually reporting it. You just got these analysts and then they've got the whole map pulled up. They're not telling you all the information that's pertinent. So that's what I mean by that's voter suppression right there in real time. That's gaslighting. That's what they've been doing this whole time. We obviously see Nate Silver, all these polls. How wrong were these polls for like the umpteenth time? How many times are these polls going to be wrong before people just stop using them, stop putting stock into what the polls say? I got a buddy that lives in Minnesota. I don't know what his politics are exactly. I'd like to think he's not super far left or whatever. He's probably moderate. I don't know. But he and I were talking about this a couple of days ago. I asked him, what do you think how do you think this plays out? And he said at the time, he thinks, this was like a week ago, he's like, I honestly think Biden will win it because I just don't see Trump winning the swing states. That was a flash in the pan, 2016. I don't see him recapturing the magic. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Mind you, while he said that, I'm standing in like the middle of Iowa or Wisconsin. I was in one of the key swing states and there was like 30,000 Trump supporters there, but that's another story. I'm like thinking, wow, like this guy doesn't even know. He doesn't know, and that's fair. He doesn't know. I'm out there on the road. I'm seeing the support for the president in these swing states, and I'm seeing Biden support or lack thereof. I'm like, there's no way these polls are accurate. It's just not true. Anybody can go polls like 50 senior citizens and then craft a narrative like, look, he's down and he's down amongst seniors. You can get two things out of that, right? Well, anyway, he texted me last night and he's like, actually, I think that Trump probably has it because he saw that Trump was winning big in Pennsylvania, big in Michigan, big in Wisconsin. He saw that he won Ohio. He saw that he won Florida. And at that point, I was starting to think the opposite. I'm thinking, man, they're actually going to rig this. They're going to steal it. They're going to steal it because they hit the pause button. They stopped reporting. They stopped zooming in on counties. They refused to call states that Trump clearly won, even without 100% of the reporting. Trump mathematically was going to win the state based on the polling data or based on the demographics in the county. Right. I knew that, okay, if they hit the pause button, now that's them saying, well, we need to figure out how many ballots we need to beat him because that's the ultimate goal. They've been telling us this. So you get what I'm saying? Like the contrast of like, he didn't understand what I saw early on. And then it kind of flipped where He's like, actually, Trump will win. I'm like, don't you see that they just hit the pause button? They're going to just try to steal it now. So it's like the gaslighting, the manipulation, the fake polls, the grift is up. Get these grifters out of here. That's grifting right there. Where do you even get this analysis? They should just run it like sports betting. Like, seriously, the odds, the sports betting, it just seems like it makes more sense. I don't know. And it still could be wrong at the end of the day, because like I said yesterday, it's all about who shows up to vote on election day. And Trump supporters showed up in every single swing state. But will it stand? It remains to be seen. I'd like to think no, especially when you got Nancy Pelosi saying, I guarantee you that Joe Biden will be elected. How do you guarantee how people are going to vote? You don't know that. And she even went a step further, said, I guarantee Joe Biden will be the next president, regardless of how it turns out. Hillary Clinton told Joe Biden not to concede no matter what. She said, no matter what, Joe Biden should not concede the election. But of course, the narrative, Trump won't concede the election. He's a dictator. He's a fascist. They're going to say that. But Hillary Clinton and all these other swamp creatures are saying Biden's going to be elected no matter what. And even if Trump does win, Biden shouldn't concede. But of course, the media, they're not going to report on that. Even Fox News, nobody's reporting on it. So I just feel like it's garbage. They called these states too early. How did they call Arizona too early? Why did they call it too early? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me, especially if they were neck and neck the entire race. And mind you, Arizona, even though it was turning purple, it was still a GOP state. They just call it super early. Out west, the only state out west that got called early right away. Then California comes in instantly. 0%, with 0% of the vote in, Joe Biden will win the state of California. He will win the state of Oregon. He will win the state of Washington. And it took him forever to give Trump Montana. Come on, guys. Come on. I know you see this. This is some garbage. Pure garbage. They wouldn't give us analysis on North Carolina, Georgia, none of this. But then they take forever to call the states that Trump was going to win. We knew this. And now I want to move to the Minnesota race, okay? Trump lost by a bigger margin this time around in Minnesota than he did in 2016. How is that possible? Okay, a couple things come to mind here. Number one, he lost by a very slim margin to Hillary in Minnesota, which is in 2016, which is why he campaigned hard this time around. Okay. Then you had the George Floyd riots. You have the terrible, weak mayor, weak leadership that let Minneapolis burn to the ground over the summer. You have a weak governor. Then you've got the election or ballot harvesting, voter fraud, ballot fraud, whatever you want to call it, that was snuffed out by Project Veritas. Ilhan Omar got caught red-handed. Cash for ballots. It's on camera. Nobody can deny this. It's on video. They got it. They caught him. Busted. So it looks very suspicious that Minnesota is extremely blue, considering all those things I just said. Why would it turn more blue as more people started supporting the president across the state? And the polls were close. They were close. Even though I say, the polls are kind of fake. It's about the on the ground, like the eye test. You go out there, you see thousands of Trump supporters. You get outside of the Twin Cities and it gets red real quickly. And again, like I said, they burned the city down. They destroyed Black-owned businesses. It's not even safe. They defunded the police. Ilhan Omar is a fraud. And she was ballot harvesting, stealing ballots, taking blank ballots. Obviously, she won her election by a massive landslide. I wonder why. But then Trump loses that blue wall state that was starting to lean red. He lost it bigger than he did in 2016, before there was Ilhan Omar, before there was George Floyd riots. Come on, man. I'm catching on. I hope you guys are catching on too. I hope you're catching on. And then what else do I got here, man? I just think, hold on. I want to talk about Conservative Inc. Conservative Inc. Okay. So everybody, I think mostly everybody on the conservative side sees that this is fraud. They see that this is shady, right? But Conservative Inc. isn't saying anything about Fox News. I get it. If you're a Fox News contributor, like maybe Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, you're not going to call out Fox News. You're not going to do that. But Ben Shapiro, he said Trump should not have declared himself the winner. This is just wildly inappropriate. Right, Ben, right. That's the big story. That's the big scoop of the day, is that Trump went out and said that he won, even though what's the difference between him saying, like, look, we're mathematically going to win the state. I mean, if the ballots come in after the election day, they're not valid. So, like, how's Joe Biden going to win? Because he has an internal group of people that look at the maps, look at the counties. Like, we should have that transparency too, by the way, but we didn't have it. So they already knew, like, look, we're going to win Pennsylvania. We won Texas. Why didn't you guys give us that? We had voters in Arizona, but you called it too soon. So they were annoyed by that. You didn't give us Florida. You were so reluctant to give us Florida. You won't give us Georgia. You won't give us North Carolina. What's the deal here? I mean, it looks like we kind of won. And make no mistake about it, for your Democrat friends and all if this were the other way around, they would do the exact same thing. They would want Joe Biden to declare himself the winner. Don't get it twisted. Don't let these people be fake and moral grandstand and claim the moral high ground. No, Trump shouldn't have declared himself the winner. Anyway, Ben Shapiro is so on the wrong side of this. When you're getting retweeted by Alyssa Milano, you're on the left. This is some neocon, straight up, like, fake. I'm not a fan of that. Ben Shapiro, that was bogus. That was bogus. And he got roasted for it. Go look at the tweet. Ratioed. Everybody calling him out. Paul Joseph Watson roasted him because that's a bad take, Ben. That's the big takeaway from the night, not the media lying, not them hitting the pause button on the reporting when everything was turning red. Ohio was red, Michigan was red, Pennsylvania was red. And then the news was like, yeah, we're going to just not show you anything. We're just going to have panelists talk. We're not doing anything. All the media was in unison on that, by the way. It wasn't just Fox News. Fox News just happened to be the worst, and they're the ones that's supposed to be fair and balanced, but they didn't report the election results fair and balanced. They didn't want to give Trump Texas. They didn't want to give him Republican states, and then they handed Joe Biden Virginia. Like, oh, yeah, he won Virginia. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, without question. Yeah, Arizona. We stand by it, Brett Baer. We stand by it. Arizona, yeah. And who knows? Maybe Biden did win Arizona. We don't know. But they didn't count all of the votes. So again, it doesn't make sense. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but Conservative Inc., the people who have the biggest platforms, you can just see the controlled opposition right there, because they will never say, Fox News, you got this wrong big time. You got this wrong. They'll just say in general, like, yeah, the mainstream media. I'm like, why don't you call out the one that's supposed to be fair and balanced? The one mainstream media, Fox News, is supposed to be fair and balanced, or supposed to have at least a conservative leaning. It's at this point, it's not even conservative or liberal. Because if the Republicans were doing this, if Republicans were trying to hold up this, like, no, we're going to need a few days to count. Be like, no, stay up late and count. You knew this election was coming. You knew what was at stake. You knew all these things were going to happen. You knew ballots were going to pile up. Why don't you let poll watchers in and get it done so we can get our answer? There's no reason why we should be waiting until Friday. Nobody's ever seen anything like this before. This is the weirdest election ever. And they're trying to steal it from right under us because Trump was winning bigly in Pennsylvania, bigly in Michigan and Wisconsin. Now Wisconsin's leaning blue. That's convenient. The thing is, they overplayed their hand. And for you lefties out there that are going to try to say, well, Florida only went red because of Ron DeSantis and the Republicans suppressing the ex-felon votes. Well, you overplayed your hand on a couple things. Number one, you assumed that ex-felons regaining their right to vote meant that they were automatically a monolithic voting bloc for Democrats. See how they just assume they own everybody's vote? If you're an ex-felon, if you're downtrodden, if you're black, Hispanic, you're going to vote Democrat. That's just how it goes. And if not, we'll call you all kind of racist names and stuff or whatever. They assumed that, oh, Ron DeSantis wanted to undermine the will of the people. He's blocking all these ex-felons from voting. First of all, he didn't block anybody. He said pay your restitution. That ranges from $50 to $15,000. If you robbed a jewelry store or whatever it is you did, if you owe restitution, pay it off. Not to mention, didn't Michael Bloomberg just pay all of that off? Didn't y'all have fundraisers? You can bail people out of jail, but you can't pay their restitution for them. You just want to blame Republicans and be lazy about it. So that's not even true, first of all. Second of all, I had some of those ex-felons that got, because I voted for that. I agree. Like if you pay your debt to society, you get out of prison, you get your life together, yes, you should be able to vote again. So I supported that amendment when it passed, or I helped get that passed. Okay. But I had these ex-felons, a couple of them reached out to me and said, hey man, I'm a fan of your channel. I support you. I just want you to know that I'm going down. I'm not taking Bloomberg's money. I'm going to go down to the courthouse and pay my fines, pay my debt, pay my restitution, whatever. And then I'm going to go cast my ballot for Donald Trump. So how many of those ex-felons who regained the right to vote voted for the president? The same can be said for the Miami-Dade County. The same can be said for every major urban area in all of these key swing states where Democrats thought, oh, for sure, we're going to win all the black vote in Atlanta. We're going to win all the black vote in Philly, in Pittsburgh, in Wayne County, Detroit. Trump got a record. He's getting a record number of the black vote. They're never going to tell you this, by the way. They're never going to tell you this, but they overplayed their hand. You saw it in Florida. Part of the reason Trump won so big in Florida is because of the Hispanic vote, the Latino vote, Cubans, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans. I told y'all this was coming. I told you, Cubans for Trump, the Hispanics for Trump, blacks for Trump. You can see it. You didn't even need me to tell you that. You see Latinos for Trump, black voices for Trump. It's a thing. It's real. Democrats deny it. Liberals pretend, oh, it's just Russian trolls and Uncle Toms and whatever else. No, these are real Americans that are going to vote for the president. And that's what happened. And that's what's happening in these other states, which is why Trump was up so big, because these blue counties aren't as blue as they think. So that's why they're trying to figure it out. That's why they hit the pause button, because this man was winning big in Ohio. They finally called Ohio, obviously, and Texas, but they were reluctant. They took them a long time to do it. And now we're down to what are the states that are left? What are the states? Nevada, that's probably going to go Biden. I'm losing hope in some of these states. Wisconsin looks like it's going blue. Michigan, it looks like Trump is up big. He should probably win Michigan. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Wayne County, Detroit. Not all those black people showed up for Hillary, that's for sure. It's hard to believe that Joe Biden being 10 times worse than Hillary, especially with him crafting the crime bill, that he's going to get more of the black vote in Detroit than Hillary got. Not to mention, Trump is gaining more of the black vote because of criminal justice reform, HBCUs, the Platinum Plan, all of that stuff gives Trump more of the vote. And then the outlier, believe it or not, Kanye West being on the ballot, I'm just saying that doesn't help Biden. It doesn't hurt Trump, but it doesn't help Biden for sure. If it hurts anybody, if Kanye West being a write-in hurts anybody, it's Biden, not Trump. Because first of all, Trump does not need the black vote. He wants the black vote. That's the difference. Biden needs the black vote, which is why he said, you ain't black if you don't vote for me, which is why Kamala Harris is like, Wakanda forever, y'all. I love blacks. I'm one of y'all. I'm just saying, guys, you see what's happening right there in front of our face. So who do we trust? What maps do we trust? What source of information do you trust most? Do you trust Newsmax? Do you trust One America News? Do you trust Right Side? I mean, we're not in that space as far as reporting on, the results and everything. But who do you guys trust? Where are you going to get your information from? And should Trump, and I'm about to read the comments for real. I want to know, should Trump have declared victory? Like, what should have happened? If you ask me, Trump, I think he did the right thing. I mean, yeah, technically all the votes not counted, but hey, they had no problem giving states to Biden that hadn't been counted. I don't see Biden's path to 270. I really don't. I mean, other than fraud, how else do you explain Trump is up big in all of the key swing states, but all of the mail-in ballots just so happen to be for Joe Biden, like 100% of them. Oh, let's not let's insult their intelligence. Let's give Trump like 3 or 4. We'll give him 300 or 400, but the rest will be Biden. No, the mail-in ballots should mimic the in-person voting. Period. There would make no sense that the in-person voting favored Trump, but the mail-in voting favored Biden. It's not a partisan split. And if it is a partisan split, I wonder why it's a partisan split. Because there are plenty of Republicans that cast ballot by mail in these states. I've talked to some of them. I've met them in these states. So that's my rant, guys. I want to know what you guys think. And I also want to get into like, oh my gosh, just the level of absurdity and insanity. I'm seeing like, I saw a bunch of racist stuff last night about Cubans. They're saying Cubans just want to be white Hispanics. That's why they voted for Trump, because he promised them he'll let them into the white supremacy club. Just this is what people are saying online. People are saying it online. Granted, they're just random trolls, but this is what a lot of people think. You already know the racism comes out when you don't toe the line of identity politics and don't see yourself as a victim. You're automatically cast out. You're exiled from whatever identity group that they put you in. You're cast out. They're saying Cubans just want to be white, and that's why Trump was so appealing to them. It's like, Cubans are darker than me. I've met some Cubans that are like super dark. So I don't even know where that comes from. I just think it's funny. It's funny. Anyway, what do you guys think? Should Trump have declared victory? What was Biden's speech last night? What was that about? Was like, I thought Biden was going to like, I don't know what Biden's speech was about before he did it. I was like, is he going to declare victory? Is he going to make some kind of bold statement? Is he going to dog whistle? Like, get ready, guys. We're about to make our final move. I don't know. Hold on. Someone said, yes, Trump did the right thing. The speech was planned for Biden. I agree. He was ahead about 2 million votes at midnight. Fox News is very biased. Cubans voted. Wait, these comments are going really fast. Someone said Trump will not concede. Trump will not concede, and that would be the story. But Biden will not concede, and that won't be the story, even though he's been told not to concede, and they've already said that. Trump never said he wouldn't concede either, so that's purely speculation. Thank you for the super chat. SD and R roll. SD and R and roll. Rock and roll. I don't know. Says, thanks for hosting this chat. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for tuning in. Trump will win. God is in control. I still believe that. God is in control. Absolutely, God's in control. The main reason for this stream is not to Debbie down or anything. It's mostly to rant, because I need to be able to say what's on my mind and know that I'm preaching to the choir. Sometimes you need to preach to the choir. Sometimes you need to just say what's on your mind and know that most people agree. Most people see it exactly the same way, because you have eyeballs and brain cells too. You watched it happen. You sat there for hours as they did not call Florida when it was mathematically impossible for Joe Biden to win, unless Pensacola decided we're going to go far left this election just because reasons. We're going to go far left. No, they already counted all the blue areas in Florida. It's insane. And then for him to have a big lead in all these other states, the swing states that the poll said he has 0.00% chance of winning. Joe Biden will 100% win this. He's up in the polls by double digits. And see, now it makes sense why Ben Shapiro was paying so much. He put so much stock in those polls, national polls. I mean, it's not even close. I can't do his voice, but you guys know Ben Shapiro's voice. Conservative Inc. Such a bad take. Just such a moral grandstander. Trump should not have done it. Like, Why don't you call out the media? Why don't you call out this fraudulent system that's happening right now? Oh, you won't do that? Okay. Oh, who's paying you not to tell the truth? Who's paying you to have this bad take, Ben? Makes you wonder. Conservative Inc. I was kind of hoping Candace Owens would have been one to say something about it, but she didn't. She said something about like, oh, look, Arizona, stay in line. I'm like, yeah, Fox News is the one that declared him, Joe Biden, the winner in Arizona. It was Fox News. Like, I think that's the bigger story than like, hey, make sure you stay in line. Yeah, you stay in line, but also, can we hold the media accountable for this? I mean, is this not the most important election of our lifetime? So why would the people with the biggest platforms, the people with the biggest audience, won't call out the garbage? That's probably more frustrating than anything at this point, is the people with the biggest voices that could actually say something won't. And maybe she still will. I'm a Candace Owens fan, so don't get it twisted. I like Candace Owens. But I'm just saying, I mean, if she doesn't call out Fox News, that might have something to do with her being a contributor. And again, I mean, I guess I can't fault her. I mean, you got to secure the bag, right? Wait a minute. Somebody made a good point here. Let me see. Questioning fraud is not the same as declaring victory. This is true. And he didn't really, I guess it was kind of like, he said that we won. He pretty much did what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden, in his speech, he said, like, we feel good. We're going to win this. We got this. Because he knows that everything is on his side. He knows big tech is on his side. Nobody can question it. That's why I titled this stream, Let's Talk About It, instead of titling it some about like they're stealing the election or there's something fishy going on here. I thought about titling this Sunshine and Rainbows because big tech doesn't want anybody questioning what's happening. They said already it could take weeks. They don't want anybody questioning it. Joe Biden knows that. Joe Biden knows that the media is not going to report on anything that goes against him winning, and that includes Fox News at this point. So Joe Biden pretty much not declared himself the winner. He didn't outright say it, but he walked out there with a lot of confidence like he's got it. Trump has said the same thing, but Trump is concerned with fraud, rightly concerned with fraud, as the media continues to tell you there's no such thing as fraud. That's not true. This is GOP misinformation. Big tech, please censor it. You see how it's a concerted effort? Well, Trump, I guess he's all over it. I don't know. Maybe he's got lawyers. Do they have poll watchers in Philly? I don't trust a bunch of people in warehouses with their faces covered counting ballots by hand. Because in Philadelphia, just because there's still like 1.8 million to count, there's no guarantee that all of those ballots are for Joe Biden. Not in this election, not with this president. So who's to say that they're not seeing a bunch of Trump votes in Philly after they just burned Philly down? They just tore it up with riots. Who's to say that there's not a bunch of Trump ballots there that they're like, yeah, let's just subtly make a little pile over here. Who's in there with the oversight? That's all I'm saying. Who do you trust? Do you trust these people? Who do you trust the most right now to give you the most accurate information and make sure that this is counted fairly? And by the way, can we get some analysis on where the 1.8 million outstanding ballots are? Are they all in Philly? Are they in Pittsburgh? Are they in Allentown? Are they in blue areas? Are they in rural areas? Because if any portion of them are in rural areas, Trump should be declared the winner, because no matter what, the lead he has right now will increase unless 100% of the outstanding ballots are for Joe Biden. Again, that's why I say they're trying to steal Pennsylvania. That's why, like, we need till Friday so we can make sure it doesn't look like fraud, but it's definitely fraud. Because why wouldn't they? They hate the man. They want him out. If they have a way to cheat to get him out, why wouldn't they do it? Especially if they're going to keep poll watchers out. I'm just saying. Vert said, I trust independent journalists. I do too. I mean, I trust people like Tim Pool, people who aren't bought and paid for, people that are going to tell it like it is. There's such a market for that because people who value the truth, not wanting to hear things that line up only with their feelings, they're going to go for a Tim Pool. They're going to go for me. They're going to go for Anthony Brian Logan, Anomaly. They're going to go and seek out this other information. Even if it's just an opinion of, I'm mostly opinion stuff, but I'm telling the truth on 99% of the stuff I'm saying. I almost dropped the S-bomb there. I usually don't cuss, guys. Bevelin stabbed. Oh my God, is she okay? What? Are you talking about? I don't know what that was about. Who's Bevelin? Are you talking about Bevelin? I don't know her last name. Beatty? Someone said Tucker Carlson. Love Tim Pool. No MSN. Stop touting election results. It's broke. Bevelin Beatty got stabbed. Oh my gosh. I did not know that. Damn, I hope she's okay. That's not good. Someone said, you are spot on and I agree with you. You guys are still talking about the stabbing. A bunch of those comments are saying that. Is she, all I want to know, is she okay? Bevelin Beatty, someone said, who is that? She painted over the Black Lives Matter mural in New York City. That's what I think really put her on the map. But she also educates liberals on site. She has some great content, or commentary rather. I didn't think she has a YouTube channel. Someone says she's okay. Okay, that's good. I'm just saying, guys, if in fact they do what I suspect they're going to do, which is flip Michigan, flip Wisconsin, flip Pennsylvania, try to steal Georgia and North Carolina, even though I don't see it happening, they can flip the other three easily and get Biden to 270. If they do that, if we see a graphic flash on our TV screens or internet, or it's trending on Twitter that Joe Biden won the election, I hate to say it, I don't want this to happen, but I think we're going to see civil conflict, because the American patriots of this country, the people who voted for this president overwhelmingly, are not going to stand for this. It's not going to happen. And this is what the media wanted, by the way. They wanted this. They wanted not only Trump to lose, but to put his supporters in a position where they look unhinged, they're violent, they go and tear stuff up. I don't think that they're going to go burn Walgreens down. They're not going to go loot Target and walk out with flat screens. No. I think it's more like the militia, like, let's go down to the courthouse with our guns and flags and that kind of thing. And they'll be met with Antifa, BLM, random minions who are inflamed by politicians in the media. Go out there. The white supremacists have circled the Capitol building. That's what will happen, guys. You understand that is the exact thing that will happen. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want it to happen. I'm not trying to manifest it. I'm just saying, I don't think people are going to take it lightly. I don't think they're just going to lay down and take this open air election rigging. And why should they? I just think that that's where we're headed right now. It's dangerous right now. I mean, we already knew if Trump won, we already knew they were going to burn cities down. I mean, it's sad, but that's par for the course. That's what they do. That's what they did in 2016. That's what they do every time they don't get their way. They screech and scream at the sky, vandalize, steal, and destroy. That's what they do. There's no white supremacists that tore up Portland or Minneapolis or Philly. No. But if Trump loses, if they do this, if they flash the graphic that Trump loses, or if it goes to the Supreme Court, just expect people from both sides to be out in the same areas in large numbers, and that's not good if we don't have a decisive win. And it looked like last night we were heading for a decisive win, where they would have, if they were doing their jobs, They should have called the election last night for Trump. They denied him. They denied us a celebration. They denied us that. They denied us that. They're trying to drag it out. They want civil conflict. They're going to get it. Most likely, they're going to get it, because I don't see any scenario where they don't try to steal Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. They may have already stolen Wisconsin. I'm actually about to log out right now so I can go check it out. And then I'm going to go do some car shopping. I got some things to do. But I do want to read a few more comments and thank anybody else that has super chatted. I see I got a big crowd watching on both Facebook and YouTube. I appreciate all of you guys watching, even though you can't interact across platforms in your comments. I see a ton of them here. I see them all in the same window. Hold on. Does anyone have the Trump 2020 app? No, I do not. Linda said, thank you, Mike. Patrice said, dragging it out. Yes, they're dragging it out, Patrice. This was their plan. This was the game plan from jump. And you remember also what I said yesterday? If stuff hits the fan, where would you rather be? Would you rather be in a Democrat-controlled area where you got to cover up your face anyway and it's just already awkward and weird and you can't shop and eat and there's probably going to be violence nearby? Or would you rather be in a rural, conservative area with a law and order governor? I'm just saying. I'm not trying to brag. I'm saying I feel really good about Florida right now. If Florida were caught up in this mess where they didn't want to call Florida and we felt like they were rigging it to try to steal it, I would be out right now with the militia groups, with the people that I just mentioned, with the proud American citizens that stand up for their country. I would be standing there right there with them. Like, let's get this contested. Let's contest this because they're trying to undermine our will. That's what they're doing right now in front of your face. They're saying, we don't care that you voted for Donald Trump. Joe Biden is going to be your president. And also, we're going to lock down for 3 months and pass a federal mask mandate. So go pick out your favorite designer mask because you're going to be wearing it in Joe Biden's America. And have fun with this Great Depression that's going to come from shutting down for 3 months. That's what's at stake here. It's not just, oh, it's just Joe Biden. He's just going to pass some policies to make everything more equitable. Yeah, right, man. Someone said, God prevails. God does prevail. Like I said, I'm just venting, spitballing, just speculating. I never pretend to have all the answers because I don't. Anybody that does is a liar. Don't forget to take your guns. Don't forget to take away our guns. Wait. Oh, yeah, they will take away guns. Yeah. Actually, they won't take away guns. They'll try to take away guns and then civil war. That's how that works. And we'll see if any military goes rogue. We don't even need to go that far. I still have hope that the right thing will happen. I have faith that the right thing will happen because so much is at stake. It's not just our freedom and rights and preserving our country. It's human traffickers getting arrested. It's digging the problems, the world's worst problems, digging those up by the root. It's the investigations into Comey and Obama and Hillary and Biden. These are actual criminals. These people have committed crimes that the news covers up, that the FBI sits on the evidence for years on. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot more at stake. And I just feel like evil will not prevail. Truth, love, light, God will prevail. But that's not to say it won't be a bumpy ride on the road to that. So I'm signing off here and I'm under an hour. Good job today, guys. I kept it under an hour. I usually start off like this is going to be a short stream and then 2 hours later, But I hope everybody voted. I hope everybody is staying calm, cool, collected. Pray. We got this. We're in this together as a country. We're not going to be divided by race or anything else. We're just going to be unified as people who love their country, love freedom, love God, and support President Trump. And that's it. All right. So God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Follow me on some of these social medias. I'm probably going to be tweeting up a storm later. Check out Ben Shapiro's tweet. Go read the comments under Ben Shapiro's tweet. Go look at the people that retweeted Ben Shapiro. There are people on the left like, I despise this man, but he and I agree. Ben Shapiro. Wow. Ben, that's the big takeaway for Ben. Big takeaway from Ben. Trump should not have declared himself the victor. This is inappropriate. Okay, Mr. Pearl Clutcher, Ben. I'm going to watch his show today, too, because I want to see what he leads with. I'm going to see what he leads with. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I do like some of his stuff. He is spot on, accurate on a lot of things. But when it comes to Trump and calling Ron Paul a white supremacist, he had a list of people he thinks are white supremacists. Ron Paul was on that list. Just pointing that out. And Alex Jones and all these other people. He's kind of despicable, but he does get some things right. I guess two things can be true at once, right? Anyways, God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next stream.